Ultra smartphones cost anywhere between £1,100 and £1,300 euros or dollars, so they're at the premium top end in terms of price. And they can be super expensive, and Poco thought, do you know what? Why not bring out this, the Poco F7 Ultra, which gives you a triple camera array, 120 watts of wired charging, 50 watts of wireless charging, a 5300 mAh battery, all with a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset. So that spec sheet is 100% Ultra. An 8 Elite chipset that lives within the Poco F7 Ultra is top tier, one of the best performance chips you can get in the world right now. And you really see the benefit of that is within, firstly, the OS. So Android 15, Hyper OS, latest version, and Hyper AI all operate within the Poco F7 Ultra. So 120Hz panel across a very beautiful AMOLED display means you're going to get super smooth transitions between applications. If you're using multiple windows or you're doing multiple tasking, you're switching between different windows at the same time, all of that looks really good. And the operation of the OS as a whole is super smooth. Zero issue, no judder, no lag, no issue at all throughout the entire time that we use the Poco F7 Ultra, which is sick. The other benefit you see is on the gaming side. So playing Call of Duty Mobile with that Snapdragon 8 Elite means two things. One, cooling is excellent. There's no issue when you're holding the phone that the phone at any point feels warm. The other component is if you enable gaming mode on your F7 Ultra, which we have, and actually technically as you load it, it will auto enable it, which is sick. You get anywhere between 60 to 80 frames per second, which is super smooth. And a lot of that is benefited from Poco's custom D7 gaming chip GPU, which allows at times to hit frames of up to 120 frames per second. Never hit that ourselves on this particular game, but Poco are saying that is possible in the highest graphic settings. If you move out of the gaming setup and take you straight to an app, it shows you the temperatures are actually really good, hovering around the 32 to 33 centigrade. I couldn't think of the word then, degrees centigrade. So you're getting a really good result when you're gaming on your Poco F7 Ultra. Cameras, let's look at those. So the triple camera array on the rear, you get 50 megapixel wide, 50 megapixel telephoto, and then a 32 megapixel ultra wide. The curious one of all is the 32 megapixel on the front. Although on paper 32 megapixel looks amazing, you have to factor in that this will only output video at 1080p 60 FPS. Yes, 1080p 60 FPS on a 32 megapixel front-facing camera on a phone that is called an F7 Ultra. Very weird decision. The quality of that 1080p video is actually decent. It's just a bit of a weird decision to only allow it to achieve 1080p at 60 FPS. The photos of the front, again, they do a lot of skin smoothing and they don't produce the best overall result. As a whole though, if you go to the rear, the main telephoto and ultra wide does perform very well. When it comes to colors, I would say this: it does give you a nice balance between a sort of overly contrasty photo and a more balanced real to life photo. It's not overly sharpening them and it's not overly kicking out a boost of colors as well. So you're going to get a pretty good photo across all three lenses. When it comes to zooming on this phone, however, if you get anywhere past, I'd say 20x, up to say 60 is where it'll hit out, you're not going to get the best possible results, which is a bit of a shame, but it can be expected. Could that be achieved later on using AI and a software update? Yes, you probably will find that will happen over the life cycle of the phone itself. And when it comes to video, 4K 60 is what we captured here. It looks super good. It can output at 8K 24 FPS, but in this example, 4K 60 looks really good. Poco F7 Ultra does a lot of what you'd expect from an Ultra smartphone, but how does it compare to this, the S25 Ultra, sort of like the Ultra smartphone? When it comes to things like design, however, I think it looks really good. This S25 Ultra is a lot more boxier, curved, flat display, while the Poco phone offers a lot more curves and a more rounded display. But when it comes to the rear, I think is where the win happens for the Poco F7 Ultra, is because although it only has 3 lenses and the S25 Ultra has 4, I think the back of the Poco F7 Ultra kind of gives it the win here. It's a little more different, it's a bit funkier, it's a nicer design, and by no means is this a downgrade or a less better looking phone than the S25 Ultra. 6.67 inch on the Poco, 6.9 on the S25 Ultra, and this is where the key differences lie. If you're watching back content on either device, you're going to see a bit of a difference. The Poco F7 Ultra doesn't offer the same level of vibrancy and detail as the S25 Ultra. Both phones have video and color boost mode on as well, just to preface it. And in this particular video that we're showing you, you do seem to get a better overall quality and color and pop from the S25 Ultra versus the Poco F7 Ultra. And then AI, we're going to talk about this in two components. First of all, Gemini integrated within both devices as you'd expect. Running a multimodal task, what you'll find here is the differences are very, very small, almost minute to no difference at all. However, as the more you prompt it and the more you use it, you'll slowly find that the smaller gap that does exist is closed off by the Poco F7 Ultra, but both produce very, very good results. If you were to copy some of that text into the Notes app dedicated on both phones, so Samsung Notes, and let's just call it Poco Notes on the Poco F7 Ultra, and then you're pasting in, and then you want a summary of that text using the AI built in, so that's Galaxy AI, this is Hyper AI. What you find here is super, super interesting. The Galaxy AI, once you've generated that summary, will give you a couple of bullet points, quick fire, digestible stuff. The Poco, on the other hand, with Hyper AI, will give you a more detailed context-based summary of what you've attempted to summarize. Honestly, I think the summary on the Hyper AI is far, far better. It still makes the content and what you've summarized more digestible and easier to read, but still gives you the relative and most sort of quick hits of that summary as well. Then let's talk benchmarks. So running a 3D Mark benchmark on both of these produces some very, very interesting results. So this is not the extreme stress test. Oh my God. This is just your normal out-of-box 3D Mark bench test. And what you find here after it's complete, not only do they max out the tests themselves, but what you also find is some key interesting results. The S25 Ultra remains cooler, but uses more battery, whilst the Poco, it gets warmer, but uses less battery. Let's touch on those both things quickly. So when it comes to the battery life, the Poco does actually have more capacity than the S25 Ultra. That could sort of explain why. And then the temperature differences are significant. I would say is definitely down to maybe the larger chamber on the S25 Ultra versus the Poco phone. Also, the Poco does have that dedicated D7 GPU built in as well. So maybe that is another factor that's causing it to run slightly hotter than the S25 Ultra. Overall though, the performance of both is very, very good. Those temperatures, although one is clearly winning over the other, are not significant enough to cause it to feel overly hot or warm. This is a pretty simple one. 5300 milliamp hour, max at 120 on the Poco F7 Ultra, 5000 milliamp hour, 45 on the S25 Ultra. This is a easy, clear, simple win, but we wanted to touch on it. Even whilst you are charging, as you can see via this Aohi power bank, you're finding that the speeds on the F7 Ultra are significantly faster than the S25 Ultra, which means you are going to be able to charge the F7 Ultra at a much faster rate than you would the S25 Ultra. Overall, the S25 Ultra will win this clearly, primarily because the general quality and sharpness of all the images are just that little bit better than the Poco F7 Ultra. Again, a little bit more detailed, does a better job of handling the darker and brighter areas. And then when you factor in zoom, again, it does a much better job of taking a photo at a higher zoom level, which you kind of expect because it has that extra bit of oomph in it. Additionally, when it comes to video, 8K 24 on the Poco, 8K 30 on the S25 Ultra. Again, it looks just that little bit better and a little bit more refined on the S25 Ultra. And that's a comparison test between the S25 Ultra and the Poco F7 Ultra. There are other key differences within the two, but we wanted your thoughts and opinions on which you prefer of these two smartphones, and generally your thoughts on the Poco F7 Ultra. At 649 starting point, this is an absolute easy recommendation and an easy win. Produces some great results in photo, video, in gaming. Generally the OS is really good as well, and you are going to get 4 years of software support on this as well moving forward, and I believe, if I'm not wrong, 6 years worth of security support. So in terms of longevity, this is going to work really, really well moving forward. Overall, the Poco F7 Ultra may not be at the ultra level of something like the S25 Ultra, but in terms of a budget Ultra phone, it does a really, really good job. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, as always, we out.